Hello and welcome to Kindred Academy, the show that deals with all things Vampire the Masquerade, 5th edition. I'm Peter.
And I'm Carlos, and today's lesson is the Clan Ventrue.
So Clan Ventrue are often known as lords or kings or blue bloods, and they certainly consider themselves a clan of rulers. And even though the other clans may not like it, without the Ventrue, there will be no Camarilla. And generally speaking, you know, this is a clan that pick its new kindred from the ranks of powerful business people, or indeed royal bloodlines, or people with power and influence.
So the history of Clan Ventrue is one of the best recorded because the Ventrue plays a lot of importance on history, especially because doesn't mean that the truth is the one that's going to be told. You can raise a myth and then put it out there. But also they have a very long and distinguished list of accomplishments and conquests. So their historians are always keeping tabs on that stuff. And it starts all the way with human civilization. They were behind the rise of very prominent powers in Greece, like the Spartans. But I think the crowning moment of the Ventrue, where they were basically the rulers of kindred life in Rome and during the Roman Empire. This is where they realize that they can use mortals from the shadows instead of doing what other clans were doing at the time, especially the Bruja in Carthage, as being sort of openly supernatural and having mortals worship them as gods. The Ventrue had ghouls and would move, accruing political power and financial power, and they would be one of the greatest proponents of expansion of the Roman Empire to avoid infighting within the clan. New land meant that younger kindred would be given those lands, and then they would not try to wrestle them away from the elders. And the whole history of Clan Ventrue has been that of leading, and especially the creation of the Camarilla during the Convention of Thorns, allied, of course, with other clans such as the Toreador and Malkavian. Now, another great historical moment for the Ventrue was Victorian era, and 1800s England was the pinnacle of what they wanted. At the height of the British Empire, expansion again, just like in the Roman days, but now throughout the world, in colonies everywhere in other continents, the Ventrue would be able to exert their power and their influence across the globe. In modern nights, they are less of the noble-born you were mentioning earlier, or the highborn, the merchant princes, and more the CEO of a company, the politician, or a figure that influences media.
So we've mentioned that the Ventrue are a clan who like to have power, and the gifts of the blood all kind of enable them in that direction. First one I want to talk about, though, is fortitude. And for those people who've played earlier editions of Vampire the Masquerade, I'm particularly excited about the way V5 handles fortitude, because as well as it being a discipline which enables you to withstand attack and be physically tough, now it also allows you to have a fortitude of the mind. And so in the case of the Ventrue, it means they can do things like resist the attempts of other people to lead them. So as well as being able to control others, they're very good at resisting control from others, which is really cool.
Yeah, and the way they will control others in one of the staple disciplines of the Ventrue would be that of dominate. Now, in 5th edition, dominate has this sort of like duality of paths. One concerning more what would be controlling of people's memories, making people forget or rearranging memories and thoughts, which can be very useful in and of itself. But also there is the one that commands people and compels them, suggests them, mesmerizes them into do something, into do their Ventrue's bidding. Now, the Ventrue do not specialize as a clan in either of them, having masters of both, because dominate is pretty much the most important discipline that allows them to control both kindred and kind with their abilities.
Yeah, the risk of starting an internet war, I always feel that dominate is the kind of signature Ventrue.
I would say the same. Like the most iconic and the staple of the Ventrue is dominate, and no one, other clans could say what they want, but no one has taken it further and then to a higher level and to such efficiency as the Ventrue.
So their third discipline is that of presence. So not only can they, with Dominate, break the will of another and make them do something, but they can also exude a personal majesty and also influence the emotions, like sway the hearts as well as the minds of those around them. Whether that is kind of terrifying those who dare oppose them, or whether that is bringing swathes of people over to, their cause.
And also, it's very, very funny that Dominate allows the Ventrue to tell Kindred or Kind, do this because
Yes.
I tell you to do it and you're compelled, while Presence is, do this because you want to do it for me, or this is the way you want to react. So you have both sides of the coin.
And it's a nice kind of segue when you're talking about both sides of the coin. Because they have both of these powers, they also have a trick that no one else can do.
And we're talking about an amalgam power, and this is the amalgam power of the Ventrue, and probably nobody else. It's a high-level presence power, presence 4, called Irresistible Voice, which is a Ventrue, an amalgam of both presence and dominate, and it allows a Ventrue to use dominate, which is a power that requires eye contact, through only the sound of their voice, making it incredibly powerful, because now someone only needs to hear you for you to exert your will upon them.
So in addition to these various gifts, of course, they also have a clan bane or a clan weakness. And the Ventrue's is that of having to have a very limited choice as to who they feed upon. And funnily enough, before I started running Blood on the Tamases, I kind of, I was aware of it as a weakness, but it didn't excite me. But actually, now that I've come to create a lot of Ventrue, this particular Bane I really like, because if you are a vampire that has to feed on very specific kinds of people, and to feed on anyone else you have to spend willpower, and it's not very palatable, then that choice of person can actually have an impact on what kind of person you are, because it's going to affect, like for example, if you only feed on people who work out at the gym, then and who are super fit, then that's going to mean you're going to have to hang around those kind of places. It's going to affect the taste of blood that your character likes, or at least that your character can stomach, and what that does to them over time.
Also, their resonance is going to be more choleric, and, and the taste of the blood and the resonance they carry and their personality is going to be represented through that.
So I would say, and we're going to talk a little bit about character creation in a moment, but that it's something I would think long and hard about if you're going to play a Ventrue, because actually that choice of what you can feed on can have really profound impacts on the way your character thinks, on how they feel, and yeah, it's a really great role-playing tool.
So we have a couple of concepts that we came up for the Ventrue, and we're using our staple approaches for character creation. So using the Bane as the focus in sort of a supernatural approach, the vampire approach, the Bane of the Ventrue being so unique, we were thinking of a concept with a character that could only feed from those who are free from sin. Now, this would be something very common in the Dark Ages with knightly orders and the power of the church. But if you're playing in the modern era, someone who needs to feed from spiritually clean or pure blood, it's kind of hard. So you would imagine having that Ventrue either supporting or being part of a religious community of some sort, specifically if it's a Christian or Catholic in particular religion. He would be the one hanging around waiting for people to leave confessional when they are cleansed from and forgiven from their sins, and then he could be able to feed on them. And it is very interesting because that changes the attitude of your role play with other people. If you see someone sin, you immediately know their blood is tainted in some way, and that can drive your reactions. Imagine probably having a dot of obfuscate from your predator type, since you're going to be lurking in the shadows, and always sometimes even encouraging people to be free from their sins. So think about that. You're a beast, part of the damned, but you want people to find redemption so you can feed.
So if that is a Bane first character creation. The next one is a mortal first, and it's looking at the idea of someone who is an inventor of some kind, who is creating things which are making a huge amount of money, but not for this character. They are working away in their workshop or wherever, coming up with these ideas, but then the company they work for is taking all of the profit, their bosses are getting all the glory, and this is quite a bitter character. And in this idea, their sire embraces them and kind of gives them that promise of, you don't have to do this anymore, and you can get finally the credit you deserve. And that probably when they're embraced, they would then seek vengeance against the people that had wronged them and use their powers to take control. But of course, what's truly going to happen is they're going to realize they are actually just in the same cycle. It's just now, it's not their mortal bosses that are ripping them off, it's their sire and their clan that are ripping them off. And that we kind of repeat that. So a sort of vengeful Ventrue is what we're looking at there.
But of course, as always, you have homework. Leave us in the comments below any ideas of past or present Ventrue that you have played, or any Ventrue that you would like, especially given that this is a Clan of Kings. Let us know about interesting Clan Banes. What does your Ventrue, or the Ventrue you would like to play, feeds upon? What type of blood is palatable to them? In the meantime, make sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell notification, and we will see you on the next lesson. Bye!
Bye!
Oh God.